Thanks for volunteering. Here is a video set up to help you learn what you need to know to run a long jump.
Cybered in the hole. Mark.
$17, 4 1/4.
Great. That's okay.
We
That's
can
good.
cut it.
That's good. Good. Perfect. Get the idea.
Here's all the equipment you will need to run the long jump: a rake, a clipboard and writing utensil, an event sheet, a tape measure, a measuring cane, and a cone. The first thing you will need to do in running the long jump will be the check-in process, but we will cover that at the end of the video due to the multiple ways it is ran at Richmond Hills High School. Let's move on to judging a jump. It is best practice to stand at the side of the board so you have good visibility of where the athlete's foot lands. The athlete's foot may be on the board, it may be behind the board, it may never be over the board. All legal jumps will be called a mark, and all illegal jumps will be a scratch. Once the jumper has completed a legal jump and landed in the sand, you will verbally state "mark." You will then proceed to insert the measuring cane at the closest landing point to the board. If the athlete has fallen backwards, stepped backwards, landed on their butt, or possibly has dragged their hand through the sand, you will mark the point that is closest to the front of the board. You will then pull the tape measure taut to the front edge of the board and also perpendicular to the board. You will then proceed to measure in feet and inches to the nearest quarter of an inch. You will then read the measurement aloud for the crowd to hear, as well as record it on your event sheet. When recording a jump, it is important to have the right measurement next to the right athlete's name. When in doubt, ask the athlete's name and school to verify. You will then write down the measurement in feet and inches. If the athlete has completed an illegal jump, you will put a line through the box to indicate they have scratched, but they have taken their turn. Prior to the start of the event and in between each jumper, you will need to make sure the pit is prepared properly. The pit should always be level. There should be no high spots or low spots in the sand, as this will alter the measurements for the jumpers. It is best practice to push the sand in towards the middle as opposed to pulling it out towards the edge. You will push it in and then lightly rake across the top to smooth it out. During this process, I would recommend sitting a cone on the runway to indicate that it is not ready for the next jumper. Now we will go over the check-in process, which will be used at the start of the event. If we are conducting this in a flight format, this is the process you will use. You will check in the athletes prior to the start of the event by simply placing a check mark next to their name so that you know if they are here or not. You will also remove any jumpers that do not plan to jump, and you can substitute names of new athletes for their teammates that will not be jumping. You will give them an allotted amount of time for them to do their run-throughs and practice attempts. Once the event has started, there will be no more run-throughs and no more practice attempts. Prior to the start of the event, you will gather and give instructions to all the athletes, telling them the order that you will be calling their name, the amount of jumps they have, that they may check out and back in with you if they need to go to another event, and you can remind them of the GSHA rules, that they are not allowed to wear jewelry, they must have matching uniforms, they must act in a sportsmanlike manner, and stuff of that matter. You will then call the athletes up in a loud voice so that they can all hear. Athlete A up, athlete B on deck, athlete C in the hole. Once athlete A has completed their jump, and while the rakers are smoothing the pit, you may then call athlete B up, athlete C on deck, athlete D in the hole. You can repeat this process after every single jumper. We will now go on to the open pit format, which is very similar to the flight format. The main differences will be that the athletes are given a very specific amount of time in order to complete their 3 jumps. During this time, the athletes can go in any order that they choose. You will not be calling their name, so it is very important that you make sure that you have their name upon the completion of their jump so you can record it in the correct spot. As with the flight format, you will do a check-in. You will allow them run-throughs prior to the event start. You will not allow run-throughs once the event starts. You will also need to give them instructions as far as their time frame, the amount of jumps, and their responsibility to give you their name. Once again, the athlete can go in any order they want, but it is their responsibility to get their jumps in within the allotted amount of time. When the long jump has finished, we ask that you circle each athlete's best performance and that you write their best performance in the right-hand column on your event sheet. We ask that you deliver the results as well as all the equipment used in the event to the score table next to the finish line. Thanks again for volunteering.